Oh, it isn't, okay.
We're discussing ours.
~23rd, 2023 at 6:04 PM. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. So everybody's aware, we're recording via Zoom. Also, WCAT 12 is broadcasting, and we're live streaming via Facebook. If anybody else is recording the meeting, please let us know, and we'll let everybody else know. Okay. So first thing on our agenda is discussion and possible vote to reappoint the Historical Commission for the following members for 3-year terms: Sylvia Buck, Thomas G. Perkins, and William A. Chauclair. I said that right. Chauclair? Chauclair.
Shokar.
Chaucar. Sorry, I
He's
butchered
a
that
2-year.
name. And for a 2-year term. So William's for a 2-year term?
Mm-hmm.
And Sylvia Buck and Thomas Perkins are for a 3-year term.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions or objections to appointing them?
No, sir.
No.
I think they'll do, Sylvia Buck's doing a great job.
Mm-hmm.
And we know we're giving them plenty of stuff to do, so, with all the historical stuff we're finding, so. Do a motion to approve?
Okay, so I'll make a motion to reappoint Sylvia G. Buck and Thomas G. Perkins to the Historical Commission for a 3-year term, and appoint William M. Shokar to the Historical Commission for a 2-year term.
Second,
All in favor?
Rich I. Hacker, aye.
Derek Bellis, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, you're back on the Historical Commission. Next item is review the report for the winter storm of March 14th and 15th. We don't have Jeremy here, huh?
This is from Jimmy McKeon, I believe.
Yes, it is.
Jimmy, you on?
He's,
No.
Mr. Chairman, he's not on. He asked me to fill in for him tonight if you had any questions.
Okay. All right. So what did he write here? Did you want to read all that?
I don't think we need to, right? I mean, it's just a description of what
It will be on the website with the minutes.
So this is
Yeah.
gonna be on the website. and
included in the minutes.
They had a conference with MEMA on March 13th, conference call with National Grid on the 14th at 4 PM, updates on the storms. March 14th, Quabog Regional School District decided to close the school, and they ended up having a 2-hour delay on the 16th, closing the town hall offices, senior center, transfer station also occurred. Had community liaisons with National Grid, activated March 15th, and the Warren Emergency Management, tree power line issues, and so on. So basically, everything went off good. There were some trees down, some power outages, which they were able to restore within 24 hours and remove those trees fairly quickly, right? I heard you calling some trees down and was standing by a few trees that day too. So, but everything got cleaned up fairly quickly. So, do you guys have any questions on that?
No?
No? You good?
Yeah.
No questions, sir.
No, nothing from the public? All right. Very good. Thank you, Jimmy, if you're listening to the broadcast of this, you know. Discussion and possible vote on trading in the 2010 Ford Explorer to Colonial Automotive Group. And this is for police?
Fire.
Oh,
Yes.
you have an Explorer?
The old cruiser is an Explorer, the black one that's at the station.
Oh, okay.
My old cruiser, that's a 2010 Ford Explorer.
Okay.
It just doesn't look like the newer ones. It's the
No,
old-
no, it
Yeah,
looks
it
different.
is yes, that was the one before they changed over to the newer Interceptor style looking ones, yes.
All right. So what do you wanna do, chief?
Adam Lavoy, Fire Chief. We have the new pickup truck that's probably gonna be ready in the next few weeks. It's being outfitted right now. That's gonna replace that vehicle, be much more versatile for us to tow trailers and put equipment in. We've never had that before, so, we're really looking forward to that. This particular company that we're getting it from, this company actually, they purchased the last marked police cruiser from this company. It came in really well, it was very reputable, and it's on the state bid list. So I asked them if they would take the old vehicle in trade, and they said that they would. So I was asking for permission tonight from the board to dispose of that vehicle through that process. They're not giving us a whole lot for it. I didn't expect that because the vehicle barely has transmission left at this point, and the running boards and rocker panels are pretty much rotted out of it. So we will strip the lights off and any usable parts that we can use on the fire department, but, I think they're giving us a fair trade for the value and the year and the mileage on the vehicle.
How much mileage is on it?
Well, this is the one we replaced the engine in a couple of years ago, so it's probably on the newest engine now. It has about 100,000 on it, on that one, so. But unfortunately, the biggest thing is that we were thinking about putting a transmission in that at one point. We discussed that, but due to all the rot and everything, it wasn't worth even putting more money into it at this point. So it was more feasible to trade it in as part of the package and get a little bit of a reduced cost on the final invoice.
Okay. Very good. Do you have any questions?
No, let's get rid of it.
Yeah. Better than putting money into it.
For sure.
I'm good.
Good?
Can't go
Do you have
wrong.
anything, sir?
So, if you just want, I've been working with Adam with Chief LaVoy on this, matter. If in the motion, if you want to give me the authority to sign the title, when he trades it in, so I can sign the title.
I'm sure you don't want a 2010 Ford Explorer? It's all rotted out?
Now, believe me, we'd offer it to another department or usage up here if we could, but it's far beyond its
Yeah,
useful
it's
life
just
at
not
this
worth
point.
it. We're putting money into it.
Yeah.
Right.
Alright, so I'll make a motion to allow the 2010 Ford Explorer to be traded in for the amount of $550 towards the 2023 Silverado and give the town administrator authority to sign the title.
Second,
All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Now that's it.
Thank you.
Okay, discussion and vote to purchase 2 Dell Latitude. What? No. You stopped me for a second,
Sorry.
Okay, discussion and vote to purchase 2 Dell Latitude computers using ARPA monies in the amount of $4,000. These two for you?
Yes, so this is something we've talked about a couple times at the meetings, and I've discussed this with the board in different times individually and as well as our town administrator. We're looking for 2 tough book style computers here. We currently have 1 Dell Latitude that is dedicated to the ambulance right now. It's strictly used for patient care reporting. We'd like to put a second one in there for several different reasons. If the first one goes down for any reason, or it didn't charge right or whatever, we can't do a patient care report immediately, we have to come back to the station. But there's other calls, especially on the Mass Pike, where we have multiple patients, where that one computer is being handed around, we're trying to close it out, start another report, because we have to get signatures if people wanna refuse care. So having a secondary computer on there, which most departments do at this point because of the increased call volume, is essential. So this would be used to purchase a second one that would be, again, dedicated to the ambulance. We'd have 2 patient care reports in there. Both EMTs that are on the truck can do a report at the same time, have contact with a secondary patient, and they can just go and do their thing. The second one we're looking for through this purchase would be, we could use it for that purchase and still have the same software. If another one went down, we still could put that one in service, the third one I should say. But primarily it's gonna be dedicated to be able to program all of the new radio equipment, which is essential. So all of the new portables, all of the new mobile radios, all of the new infrastructure sites, that will have the software for us to do that internally. We don't have to pay anyone else to do it. We're already doing it anyways. But the Toughbook that we currently have, the Panasonic Toughbook, is failing. And it's constantly freezing, it's constantly, can't do updates in it anymore. It's just a very old piece of equipment. So this computer would replace that one outright, and we could do all of our programming for police and fire and highway for their radios that we are compatible with our system. We can do all of that in-house without sending it out.
So you're looking for 2 tough books?
No, the one we have is a Toughbook. We're looking for 2 Dell Latitudes, which are the Dell version or the equivalent of the Panasonic Toughbook. They're rugged, meant for, wear and tear, fire department stuff and police department stuff. But for us, the one we have has been it's been good. It's very basic software, which is what these 2 are. It's based on the one we currently have. We don't need any more than that because it's not being used for town emails or anything like that. These are strictly for patient reporting and programming. That's it. That, there's no other
So you
usage.
can't have any of that other stuff on there?
Correct, yes, so we're only using it for those exact purposes, that's it.
Okay. Use it? You have a need?
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
Any questions?
No.
Any questions?
I do. Chief, I'm okay with the computers. I know what are they for. I'm just concerned that 4,000 is not gonna be enough. I've been buying this for my company every week, and some of them are like 2 months to build. So if you have something secure on that money, it's okay, but they're going up.
We based this, this was a current quote that we got, and we were gonna purchase it. Because now the town has an Amazon account, these were gonna come from Amazon, and I was gonna ask the town administrator and our our treasurer to approve that purchase through that. So this is the current one. If the board would like to appropriate a little bit more, that's fine, but I based it out, the 4,000, on what these are currently selling for new on Amazon at the moment.
That will be my only recommendation, because every day they're changing prices. Sometimes you see, you're gonna buy it and it's like delivery. Start building in 2 weeks, delivery, and then it's just so amazing. The tough, we call them tough books.
Yeah.
They're like that.
Yeah.
They're rugged laptops, and sometimes I can't get them.
Well,
So-
there was 5, when we put this up about 2 weeks ago, there was 5 available, right then and there. So, I can look again, but if the board would like to appropriate a little bit more.
How about this? We make the motion to approve the purchase of 2 Latitude. We won't set an amount, so purchase the 2, and just kinda watch them mount.
Okay.
If it's 4,000, then fine, but it's 4,010,
Okay.
I don't wanna we don't wanna hold you up to $10.
All right, that's fine. That's
You know,
fair. Yep.
so we'll approve the purchase of those two laptops, just.
Yeah, we won't
within
change any of the
reason.
programming or any of the software or
Yeah,
anything
don't,
like
don't,
that.
don't
It
just turn around and get
No,
two
it's-
$10,000
no,
laptops
it's gonna stay,
now.
it's gonna stay the way it is. I won't do any of that, but I'll let Jim know exactly what the final price is on that and when they're coming in.
Yeah, again, because the prices are changing so much now, and everything just went up again,
Yeah.
so.
Thank you for that suggestion. Appreciate that. Motion?
Yeah, just take the price off.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to allow ARPA funds for purchasing 2 Dell Latitude computers for use by the fire department.
Second,
All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bellis, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously.
Because the chief said that, you know, they're not gonna be used for emails or anything like that, it will not be on our network.
Right.
Okay.
So they're gonna be just for
Patient-
his
patients.
programs
Mhm.
that
Okay.
he runs.
Thank you, chief.
Thank you.
Okay, and then you're up again, fire chief monthly report.
I'm sorry, this is a
Popular
little.
tonight.
Sorry, this is a little late in the month on this. It was done at the beginning, but unfortunately, I was out for one meeting, and I was not expected to make last meeting either, but it was canceled, so that's why it's waited till the end here. So in the month of February, we had 29 fire calls, ranging from motor vehicle accidents, medical assists, one oil burner issue, a few investigations, a couple of structure fires, nothing major, but actual structure fires. Service calls, power line incidents, a couple we were canceled, false alarms, cooking fires, and then one illegal burn. We responded to 64 calls for EMS in February. There were 10 ALS intercepts that were required for those. We did a variety of inspections, including smoke and COs, or carbon monoxide, propane tank inspections and oil burner inspections, which is pretty much what we do on a regular basis. In February, the Warren Fire Department trained on hose line deployment and repacking procedures and all the apparatus. We changed the way we deploy our hose lines on the trucks and made sure they were all standard across the board. We just trying some different methods that are out there and seeing which one works best for us as technology improves. We did not hold a regular training in EMS due to a scheduling conflict with an instructor that we were supposed to have in, but we've made up for that this month. Continuing to watch the budget closely. I still don't see any major red flags. I did talk to the town administrator about one possible, looking maybe for a line item transfer for some overtime, given that we're getting to vacation area, times right now, and I was down for a couple months without a full-time person there for a bit. But I'm watching that closely. I'm hoping to and get that through, and maybe without anything, but I just wanted to, that was the only thing that just came up after I wrote this report, I should say. So, but other than that, I think our budget is relatively on target at the moment, and it seems to be going okay. So we have a lot of projects right now that are going on with our vehicle maintenance itself. So we have our hose and ladder testing tomorrow. So we'll be working down in West Warren to test all the thousands of feet of hose that we have and everything. We have some work being done on the trucks. We have pump testing that's coming soon. So there's quite a bit to make sure everything's certified and safe and what it should be. So working all that.
Thank you, chief.
Thank you.
Is there any question?
I do not.
Me neither, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Discussion and possible vote on the budget. It's the selectmen's budget. Okay. We need some readers. All right. So pretty much, what changes were made?
Since the last time we met, the change was made for the, we lowered the generator expense $1,000. The boiler expense, we went up $2,000 because we had to replace the starter, and it cost us about $2,000 in one of our boilers. And that made us so we are short this year. So we'll go in to do a transfer at this special. question that you guys had about the streetlights. And so I got all the bills from National Grid, added them all up, took away what we got this year for the solar credit for our street lighting account. And it ended up that I brought it up to, instead of 15, I brought it up to 20, and that should cover it.
So we went up $5,000 on each.
Yep.
On the copier lease, you can set it at $13,500. That's a fixed number. I called the people today, and the monthly payment is $1,108, say. And if you times that by 12, that's a little over 13,000, 13,200. So if you wanted to go 13,500, you can save $500 on the copier lease.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to.
So you want me
cut
to
down.
change that to 13.5? Okay.
So why did boiler maintenance went up 2,000, so we can pay for the 2,000 that we're short? Is that why you?
No, because I'm concerned if we had to do a starter in one of the newer machines,
Oh,
then
okay.
are we gonna have to do a starter on other ones? So, just, looking back at the detailed report I got from, the accountant today, looking back, we had quite a few things that we had to do. We had to clean the boiler on one of them. We had no heat in the Shepherd building one time. And then we had to replace a motor starter. So with those, we were short this year, so I just wanted to make sure we won't be short next year. It's like throw a dart at the board and decide what it lands on.
Shepherd building expense? Can we trim that maybe?
No,
Mhm.
because I think we're pretty close to the end of that one right now.
Got about, 12,000 left in there?
Yeah.
11,000? About 12 or 11,000 left in the expense account.
But that's where we pay our oil bill, our electric, and with all those going up.
Oh, okay, so,
I mean, that's not just the cleaning supplies, that's all the utilities, phone bills.
So right now, we get 12,000 in there.
Got about a little bit, around 12,000, I say 12,100.
And we still gotta pay all our bills all the way till,
Till June
July,
30th.
Yeah.
close.
what's the monthly heating bill in here?
Our oil was about 2,500.
Per a month? Okay. Do we have an oil bill in here?
There's no oil, this is heated by
Yeah,
gas.
this is gas.
Natural gas, that's what I meant,
Yeah.
natural gas bill.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, it's still 2,500, whether it's the heating, oil, or natural
Yeah.
gas, still.
You need to remember National Grid's jacking up our electric bill again too.
Well, no, actually, the rates.
I thought the rates were coming down.
Yeah, the rates will come down in
Are they?
April.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
30-something%.
They just seen something that they were talking about going up again, unless that changed.
No, I'm pretty
No.
sure they've already filed rates.
The
They just-
legislation just came out, they're doing a decrease on April 1st.
Yeah,
All right. Okay, that's good news.
so for the next, every 6 months they adjust, so
Yeah.
from April till whatever, October, November, it'll be that.
Until
lower rate.
winter time when we, you have.
What
to-
we need the most.
Yeah.
And then they jack it up.
Then jack.
And hopefully, during the summer months, if we get a real, sunny summer, get some more solar credits going and,
Yeah.
defeat some of the costs there.
Mhm.
Hmm.
You know, one other thing that I would, the rate has not been set yet for the liability insurance. And we're still at 110, but the rates have not been turned back in. That's a budgetary number. Now, I mean, I'm hoping that's, you know, pretty good. You may wanna put a few $1,000s more in there. And you can always turn it back if not needed.
Do you wanna make up?
Do we know when we're gonna get that?
Joanne said that, you know, she's hoping by next week. So if you wanna just, you know, keep an eye out for that and just leave it as is right now, and next week we can look at it again. And I have a little something more concrete.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, cause I don't wanna arbitrarily raise it unless we have to.
Because right now, we're running a little over 5% increase, which isn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't wanna, if we don't have to.
Yeah, that will go down a little bit, because we're taking out the 500 off of the copy lease.
Okay.
It's funny, I found that decrease of electricity updated on March 17th. Even though it's gonna be lower, it's not gonna be as low as last one.
Yeah, probably not.
That's what they say.
Yeah. It never goes back.
They went
down
up
to where it
5% and they dropped it 2.
was. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So. All
Okay,
right.
so I'll put the budget back on for next week.
Yes, please. And that will be the last, hopefully last. We'll make those changes, and then let's approve it
Mhm.
next week. Final draft,
Final one, yeah.
hopefully.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, you guys good with the budget? Any more changes?
I don't think so. No, I'm good.
Good.
Me too.
Good. Good.
Yep.
All right, we'll revisit the budget again next week. All right. Discussion and possible vote on the warrants for the selectmen. Okay. Standard. And we still don't have a number for the above minimum contribution. Has FinCom talked about that at all?
They mentioned it, they're very reluctant to do anything above minimum. They're very skeptical of, you know, us continuing down that path of, you know, doing the above minimum. I guess even before that I was in this position, they were giving me a brief history, that the above minimum was going to be only for this one time, and then it kind of like avalanched and developed into an ongoing,
Oh, really?
a supplement. So, you know, that's the history that the FinCom had told me about. So, they have severe reservations about doing anything.
It could have been that West Brookfield wanted it too, and then we had to,
Mhm.
maybe after that first year or something.
Do you guys see this today?
No, is that the Ware River?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get that today.
Small, it says, school committee chair Andrew Trunker said these numbers are preliminary, as the budget has not passed through the House of the Senate yet. The total operating assessment for fiscal year '24 is proposed at 10.2 million, or 1.689 more than last year.
So they say what they're asking for above minimum?
No. not directly, but it just says it's 1.6.
And that's what it was on that preliminary budget they gave us, was 1.6.
You know, I think that the FinCom is looking definitely this year for the board to set a number.
Yeah, we'll definitely set a number. We just need to know, again, if we're gonna set a number and we wanna meet with FinCom to discuss this
Mhm.
and say, this is our number,
Mhm.
you know, because what are they comfortable in doing, and, you know, what can we, what can we afford? Because obviously we can't keep on going up, because it's gonna affect the taxes, you know, and we cannot afford to keep on raising our taxes on this, so.
Well, it's like a drug now, you
Yeah.
know, if they got it once and then they kept asking, right, they're addicted to this extra money, so you know,
Well,
maybe we just sort of level.
they've
fund
grown
or
beyond their capacity,
Yeah,
and, you know, I love the school, they do a great job, we all support the teachers, we all support everybody over there. We think they're doing a good job, and, you know, we appreciate what everybody does, but the town does not have an infinite budget. We can't just, we're not the government, we can't just print more money. We have what we have. And if we try to give them more money, the $1.7 million that they're asking above minimum contribution, if we approve that, taxes would absolutely go up. We'd have to go to a 2.5 override to do that, because there's no other way. It just,
yeah. West Brookfield would be in big trouble too,
yeah.
more than us.
Yeah.
so.
Well, they're already talking about doing a 2.5 override in West Brookfield,
Yeah.
just to pay their basics.
Yeah,
Yeah, they can't even buy stuff for their own police department and their fire department. It's like, you know, they're in a much worse situation than we are.
yeah. I think it just, we end up enabling that behavior of spending money if we keep approving this, so.
Yeah.
And
There's no
we all
incentive to
agree,
cut.
it's not a bad thing. It's just that we
We
can't
can't
rely
afford
on the townspeople to pay for it, you know.
Well,
I'm sure the three of us will go, yeah, you know, if we had the money, go for it, but we don't have it.
No, we don't.
You know something, if Bill Gates wants to move to our town and pay for all this, I wish him the best.
Yeah.
You know, multimillionaires, Warren would accept you, but we don't have that.
Mm.
Most of our town lives below the poverty level, and paying for basic essential stuff is difficult. It's, you know, it's hard. You can't keep on dinging the residents and raising taxes to do this stuff. And I know they asked for 8 more positions, new hires.
Yeah, they have a
There.
list.
It just, yeah, we're gonna have to come with a firm number. We need to have a meeting with FinCom and like absolutely just set it at that point. FinCom is looking at,
So FinCom could not meet this Saturday, as it was mentioned at the last meeting. They were looking at April 1st at 1 o'clock after the events of April 1st. So they were looking for a
so
1 o'clock.
the vaccine clinic goes till noon, and the egg hunt goes when?
I think down.
From 9 to 12:30 or something.
Around 12:30?
Yeah.
Okay, so as long as those are done, because I didn't want to interrupt those, because I'd like to take my kids east egg hunting too. And
They-
Tammy's involved in the rabies clinic too, so.
So who do we want to invite to that meeting? Everybody, or just FinCom and you guys? All department heads, or?
Well, that's the thing, do we want to just kick out the whole budget, everybody's budgets, and review them all that day?
Yeah, just what's the-
So, so what the FinCom is doing this year, and as they, our statute, you know, what their statute says is that the FinCom presents the budget to the Selectmen.
Mhm.
You know, if there's any type of, you know, questions or modifications, and you guys can meet jointly. And that's what's presented forward.
So FinCom's already done the sit-down with everybody in the individual departments.
For the ones that they wanted to meet with, I made it a priority to meet with everybody, one-on-one, with departments. And then FinCom called in departments that they wanted to talk with, was their strategy.
Okay, so then we're good, so it's just FinCom and us.
Yeah, but I mean, if somebody, it's an open meeting.
It's
so
an open meeting, yeah.
I would let people know it's happening.
Right.
And if they wanna come and talk about their specific budget for whatever
Okay.
reason.
I just didn't know if I had to send invitations to individual people, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, yeah, just,
Okay.
I mean, send invites, just, you know, it's happening.
Yeah, just say, yeah.
I mean,
We're gonna have a budget meeting with FinCom on Saturday at 1:00.
Okay.
And if any of the departments would like to attend, because of discussions with the budget, they can attend. But if FinCom's already gone through everybody and done what their due diligence, I'm comfortable with that. You know, that's why we have a FinCom.
Exactly.
Was there any contention with the budgets, you know, like Highway presented something and FinCom didn't agree and, you know, that
Well,
sort of
you'll see
thing?
in some of the articles,
Yeah,
that,
they did recommend some.
some of the ones that, I have prepared drafts for you guys to look at and start reviewing of all the articles that were submitted in their comments, whether they reviewed them or not, I mean, whether they recommended them or not recommended them. I can certainly answer any questions. I went to all the FinCom meetings, and some of their logic behind either recommending or not recommending. We can go through that one by one if you'd like.
So why don't they recommend why aren't they recommending the firefighter?
So I think that their reason behind that was following suit with the direction, and I did issue some clarification to them, following suit with the direction of the Board of Level Services. They weren't supporting any new hires at this time. So, you know, I did say that there was, you know, somewhat of a position that the selectmen, you know, wanted to hold harmless, you know, public safety, to make sure that level services were, for emergency purposes, were being maintained. But they felt that they wanted to follow, the direction in its entirety throughout all of the departments.
Gotta be some leeway there too, in something like public safety. You know, the overtime and everything that adds up, ends up killing us that way to cover shifts, and you don't have, I don't know, Adam, can you explain better?
I talked to, Jim called me and told me what their decision was. I wasn't there when they made the decision. So, you know, obviously I'm you know, I'm a little disappointed in that decision, and I did say, you know, at the time that, you know, because Jim had told me that the reason behind it was because of the directive from the select board, and I said, well, the select board knew what the need was, and they agreed that there was a need for that at the time, so I didn't quite understand that, you know, that reasoning, but we're gonna go, I was asked.
On Wednesday.
He asked me to attend this coming Wednesday and sit down, and I'm gonna try to present it with the exact numbers. I mean, unfortunately, the numbers are a little out of skew, in my opinion, between police, fire, and highway at this point. I mean, highway and police picked a position up last year.
Mhm.
I did not go for a position at that time because of a lot of the projects that we've been working on. I was trying to hold off on some tax, you know, the burden of taxpayers. I thought I could limp things along a little bit longer, but unfortunately, our department is inherently different than the other departments. They only have part-time and full-time. 90% of my staff are on call, you know, and when I lose one or two EMTs due to their change in life or a job or something like that, and they tell me, sorry, chief, I can no longer fill these positions for you, I mean, it hurts. And that's happening more often now because our department is changing so much and our society is changing. So, you know, at this point, we have 4 full-time fire EMTs. The police department has 7 full-time, not including the lieutenant and the chief. You know, the highway department is up to 6 or 7 at this point, I believe, 6. You know, we have 4. I mean, we have to staff 2 people around the clock, all the time, in order to get an ambulance or a fire, you know, especially an ambulance out the door. So at this point, my back is kind of against the wall, and, you know, I've been filling a lot of those shifts myself, but I can't do fire chief, administrative assistant, and firefighter EMT all at the same time. You know, I'm just trying to plug those holes here, and this position would allow us to do that. So I'm gonna try to come up with some creative ways to talk with Jim and get the support of the finance committee. You know, I've already said that if that position isn't gonna go forward and it's not gonna be considered, then I'm gonna have to make an amendment to the part-time help. I've already cut the part-time help to try to get full-time position. So, you know, so I'm just kinda stuck in a little bit of a tough place right now, trying to, you know, and I just need to make sure we're putting all parties on notice as to what's going on, you know, and, you know, we're trying to keep up with our call volume. We've had a huge increase in our call volume, as everyone knows. I mean, our numbers are clearly going up. It's very clear, you know, it's not gonna stop. We're, right at this point right now, we're already at and a little bit above where we were last year in March already. So, you know, so it's something I wanna talk about. I understand their reason, I get it, I understand it. I just would like an opportunity to talk a little bit more in depth about it, and, you know, hopefully it can still make it to the meeting, because I just don't know how much longer we can continue to do, you know, and provide that. You know, my goal is to keep 2 people in-house, 7 in the morning to 11 PM at night, Monday through you know, all the way through, 7 days a week. That's the goal, you know. We can handle the on-call overnights, you know, and everything, but trying to keep people staffed all the time with, you know, call members not able to do this shift, to do that shift, it's just becoming tougher and tougher. And this is not just a Warren thing, again, it's an industry-wide thing, you know, right now. And we're losing employees with turnovers and everything, so this would certainly help us. You know, I understand the budget restraints. I'm gonna try to find some more creative ways to look at some other budget options and maybe moving another line item around or something and trying to get this done, but I firmly believe the need is there, you know, and it's more apparent than ever right now.
The article remains on the warrant either way, so, I mean, then it's up to the voters.
So I support the article.
I mean, yeah, I think FinCom is just, you know, they see
FinCom
what-
advises us.
Yeah, they advise, and they have an idea of, you know, level services, and they're going with that, and that's fine, so,
No,
It'd be
and I
nice, it'd be nice to have their endorsement on it, but we don't need it.
Oh, no, I understand,
to
I
move forward
understand
with
that.
it.
I mean, I always like to have the support of every group, you know, I mean, and that's the goal, and I was kinda hoping that, you know, maybe, you know, another second go-around of discussion with them, and
yeah, I think it's.
for them really looking at truly what the other departments have for full-time numbers as compared to us, and, you know, and see where that might go. If it doesn't go anywhere, that's fine. I mean, I understand they're doing their job and they're advocating for the taxpayers, and that certainly is their job, and I respect that, you know, but at the same time, you know, we gotta look at the true numbers as to what we're being asked to perform, and the call volume we're asked to support in the town, and that is just changing dramatically.
Well, I think if you put numbers together and go in front of them and make a case, I think that'll be a good effort.
So, do you oppose it?
No, I mean, this is the first time I'm seeing it, so.
Okay, but do you oppose them having another firefighter?
No, I mean, I guess you know, it doesn't seem like a huge amount of money. And again,
You gotta fill the
although if
gaps.
Adam's gonna come up with numbers, I'd like to see the numbers then. Like I said, you know, off the cuff, you know, I'm just seeing this for the first
Am I
time.
putting you on the spot?
Yeah, you're putting me on the spot.
All right. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Put me on the spot.
Do you oppose it?
No.
I don't oppose it. I think it's a must. Times are changing, just like the police department. Unfortunately, with the police department, their part-time guys are being eliminated. And that's because of the post requirements, and a lot of them opt not to go to a full-time academy to become a full-time police officer with part-time pay. And they don't wanna do that, and, you know, we're really losing all our part-time guys.
Well, unfortunately, you hit the nail on the head. I don't think any town or city was expecting what the situation that we're in right now. And unfortunately,
kind of made everyone compete against each other, and, you know, we're still, even after having a pay increase, you know, unfortunately, a lot of the other towns and cities did the exact same thing, and because they were forced into doing that, and so Warren unfortunately gets put on that back end of it again, and, you know, you're losing patrolmen and firefighters to high-paying towns once again, you know, and that's just the cycle that we see, but I think that towns like this, you know, in smaller communities are seeing for the first time, they're hitting that wall, especially with relying on that volunteerism side of things. You know, that is changing drastically. We see it on the boards, we see it on the committees, we're seeing it on the fire department here. You know, our numbers are, you know, we're starting to see those, the younger students coming through the program, which is fantastic, and we're encouraging them. We have some that are in EMT class, have gone through that, so we're hoping to get that help. But at the same time, you know, that's only supplemental help. It's only when they can provide that, you know, oh yeah, I can pull an 8-hour shift here, I can do that, you know. We still need to have a core of full-time staff to make sure that the minimum hours are manned and the others can supplement those hours. And that's the goal, is to keep it at a minimum so that we're not just not filling a shift and not getting a truck out the door. And that's the problem, is that the dynamics have changed as to what people were willing to do once and what they're willing to do now or capable of doing now. Or, you know, I'm not saying they're any less compassionate or anything like that. It's mostly just due to family restraints and job restraints and all the other things that they're dealing with in life. They just don't have the time to hang around the fire station like they once did. You know, it's just not a thing. And again, it's not a Warren thing. It's across the industry thing.
It's all communities.
Yeah.
So we did this training at Holy Cross College, some seminars, and one of them that I was in, I actually asked, it was about grants. And I was asking about grants for public safety complexes and things. And the room got quiet. And they really didn't see any money coming down the line for anything to do with public safety or public safety complexes. And when I started getting onto the subject and needed it, I actually get some opposition from people sitting in the back from other towns. Like, oh, do we really need to spend money? Can't you find better things to spend your money on? And it's like, wow. I'm like, really?
There's another grant
It's like-
opportunity out there, that I,
It's
you
just
know,
not a thing.
at some point, you know, there's another way to explore it. Most of our grants come through what's called the Assistance to Firefighter Grants, or better known as the AFG. We have grants that are submitted through there every year. In the last several years, there is another grant out there called the SAFER Grant, which is Staffing of Adequate Fire and Emergency Response Grant. That's something this town has never done. There are other towns that are starting to do it a lot more. Belchertown just put on 6 with this SAFER Grant, and what this is all parties have to be very aware if they're going to apply for this grant. It's certainly something we can talk about, but basically, if you apply for the grant and you're granted it, they will pay for however many firefighters or medics or whatever you're looking for, whatever the town is looking for a certain amount of time over a grant period. Usually it consists of, for example, the first year the feds pay for the salaries of the firefighters. The second year, the town picks up 20% of that. The third year, they pick up 50%. The fourth year, the town picks up 75% until the end of the grant, where they pick up 100% of the salaries. So there is another solution out there. I've never gone down that road, because I didn't think, you know, we were at that situation yet, but we're starting to get there, you know, where maybe it is worth looking at something like that. But the town has to be aware, and obviously the select board and the finance committee and the town administrator have to be aware that that price is coming at the end of that grant to establish the full salary of that, and they have to prepare for that. But it's a one-time break for that first year or so, where the feds pick up the majority of that, you know, of that salary. So there is an option. How long that grant is gonna be funded for is still up in the air. So far, it's been happening the last few years, but again, with the money where those things are going, we don't know how long exactly the federal and the state grants are gonna hold out for, so.
Mr. Chairman, would you entertain a comment from the audience
Yes, sir.
at this time? Ray Capaco, resident. I think the topic right now is on Finance Committee's involvement to the Select Board. I appreciate the comments that were already said, acknowledging their role. I know as a resident, I appreciate FinCom's perspectives. I always look for and expect although it's not always there on each of the warrants, whether the FinCom supports or doesn't support the initiative. I think the FinCom's doing their role, that's already been commented on, and it is just advisory, as has already been acknowledged. I think Chief Lavoy can and does do a good job advocating for his needs, and I'm sure I hope he can make the FinCom meeting and make that appeal. He'll also have another chance at the town meeting if he needs to do it then, which, whether FinCom ends up supporting his request or not, he'll probably still need to speak to it at the town meeting. And so, I know as a resident, I appreciate FinCom's role, and if they didn't support it, I would encourage, as a select board, I would encourage you to make the request of the FinCom chair that they be ready, able, and willing to speak to their recommendations, one way or the other, at the town meeting. I think that's vital, because as a resident, we don't know what their rationales are. We can't and don't attend all the FinCom meetings. We don't know what all the rationales are. It's helpful to see a pro or an against, support or don't support the request. It's also helpful to sometimes get a little bit of information at town meeting so you can make an informed vote. And I just wanted to say that about.
I know they were there last year and they did make comments on why they did not support articles.
Yeah.
It is helpful getting their perspective of it, and, you know, there's always two sides,
Right.
and ultimately it's up to the residents to say, you know, something we think this is worth it, the money being invested in this.
Yeah.
Because it's the residents' money, you know, taxpayers, so.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you very much for your comments.
I'd just
Yes,
like to
sir.
say, you know, I just want to make it very clear, I fully agree that we need a FinCom, and I'm very supportive of them, and I've actually enjoyed working with them, and when we had capital planning over the years, I don't want anyone to misinterpret that I'm throwing any darts any way, shape, or form. I mean, I know the FinCom members, I respect the FinCom members, they honestly, they have a tough line to toe, and I understand that, especially when you have school budgets and other high-end budgets that are coming through there. So I totally get it, I understand it, you know, I just wanna make sure I understand the rationale behind it, and just so that they have all the information that they may need as well. So, you know, I think they play a huge value into the budgetary process, and I like the way that the budgetary process has been streamlined, to be honest, and it gives an opportunity to really present some stuff, and they've been very supportive over the years. So no one's ever gonna agree on every little thing, it's just the nature of the game. But I just want to make it very clear that, you know, I'm not criticizing them in any way. They absolutely have a right to their opinion and a right to stand their ground, given the atmosphere of other budgets coming in as well, so, for what it's worth. But I will be meeting with them on next Wednesday with Jim, and we'll see how that goes, and you know, I'll probably attend the first, and we can have a final discussion then, but you know, I just want to make sure everyone is aware, you know, that where we're at, and, you know, that I'm just trying to provide the same service that we're doing now.
Thanks, Chief. Mr. Conrad?
Joe Conrad, resident. I should also like you to note that Dennis DeRozier, who is an ambulance driver, has been on the force for 50 years. He's actually a year older than me. Eventually, he may decide he's done. And we're gonna have to have an ambulance driver.
Mhm.
It's something to think about. We're gonna have to pay somebody.
And Chief is tracking that.
Yeah, no, I mean, we certainly,
have
we have a
engaging
couple people
force.
that are gonna be retiring in the near future and everything, and our first responders, for the first time, because of waivers that the state, because of COVID and stuff, there are situations we may have one EMT and a first responder on the truck and everything, and they become inherently much more important to us. You know, they've always been important, but they're playing a bigger role. A couple of our firefighter first responders are assigned directly to be driver operators of the ambulance, you know, so that we can get it out the door, because again, they realize just how much the communities were struggling. It doesn't happen very often. Usually we have 2 EMTs at a minimum, but every once in a while, if an EMT's not available, or they have to come off shift early or something, because they're their main job, their full-time job, you know, you may have a firefighter and a first responder, an EMT and a first responder. So that's kind of where we're at. I never thought they'd even see amendments like that into the state law, but that goes to show where the dire need is right now, and where, you know, there are literally communities out there that wouldn't be able to put an ambulance out there at all if they didn't have the waivers out there that we do now. And I expect them to kind of stay in place, because I don't think this industry is gonna recover from the amount of people that have left anytime soon. It's gonna take several years to get back to some sort of a staffing level due to pay rates and everything like that. But we've lost a third of EMS providers across the country in the last year and a half, a third. That's where we're at. So, you know, have literally walked away from the profession due to stress, burnout, and low pay and wages. They've left completely. So, you know, that's where the studies are saying and what they've seen. So, you know, I mean, you know, I've read many articles on it. So, you know, I just had a chiefs meeting today out in Millbury, and that was always is one of the hot topics. Anyone that runs an ambulance, a municipal ambulance service, you know, for the fire chiefs that don't, God bless them, because that is its own inherent thing nowadays, and trying to keep that system running is very tough day to day. And, you know, that's just the hole that we're all collectively in, and we're just trying to be proactive and find different ways to deal with it, and also let our communities know what we're dealing with, you know, and that's just kind of where we're at. So I do appreciate the support of the board, and Jim has been fantastic working with him to, you know, and his understanding where that is. So like I said, we'll talk to him, we'll have a, you know, I'm sure a great dialogue on that, and we'll see where we end up.
Thank you, Chief.
No, sir.
You have your hand up.
I did. It was a fly.
All right, you good?
Yeah. No flies on me.
All right. So we'll meet with FinCom. We can do April 1st, 1 o'clock. Can you do that, sir? This is after all the events.
That's a Saturday.
Yep. Can you do that?
Yep, I'm good.
No, the problem is the events after that.
What events? You have some events going on after that?
Yeah, Natalia has competition dance.
Oh, okay, all right.
April 1st. It's gonna be tough on me, because we have to travel to Marlboro. So it's at 1.
Mhm.
I'll find out what time is it. Maybe I can join you for a little bit.
Okay. Very good. So let's set that for 1 o'clock on April 1st then. Did you guys want to talk about any more of our articles? Where are ours?
Oh, I do have a question on the special town meeting.
Yeah.
What's the $50,000 one for the special?
So, I don't think that there's gonna be a need to do a whole 50,000. At the last selectmen's meeting, there was a discussion of possibly doing a phase 2 approach on doing some maintenance and some office improvements in the Shepherd building. We're in the process of the entire project right now. We're gonna have some better numbers within a week's time with once some of the expenses come through the books. I really don't think that there's going to be a need for 50,000. I think it's gonna be significantly less, and I would tend to put that article at the annual town meeting instead of the special. And maybe even to expand it to a little bit more than just the Shepherd building, to also include the senior center, to start maybe doing some improvements and some, taking care of some of the issues down there. And you'll see in the drafts of the STM and the ATM articles that I have before you, that's gonna be part of my report. There's a draft of an article at the ATM that, speaks to that, gives it a little bit more flexibility instead of being so restrictive as, just in the Shepherd building. and we'll have you know, a better number for you, you know, in the week to come.
Well,
So, you know, to also include the senior center, because I don't think there's gonna be,
okay.
The tax collector's gonna be up there for a while reading this article, huh?
yeah, that's the Municipal Modernization
Yeah.
Act that was passed had made some updates. And one of the updates is that if an entity is coming before a board and it requires a license, that you don't have to wait a full year for them to be delinquent in the license, be delinquent in their taxes, and that you can not issue the license because of the current delinquency. Currently, under what was been adopted by the town, you have to wait a year because they adopted an older version of the municipality improvement act. So you'd have to wait a whole year before of delinquency before you can withhold a license. This would require you can withhold a license or a permit immediately. If they were delinquent $1 or within current fiscal year. You don't have to wait a whole year of delinquency.
Is the planning board, there was a
There's a
motion for the planning board about liens?
planning board liens. The only thing that I received was planning board
Bylaw.
bylaw.
Yeah, there should, okay. So there should be one about liens. It was basically for the solar, so that we can make decommissioning costs a lien on the property.
Was it
There's one Article 25. and then
Article
that
25? Is that what you're maybe
Solar
referring to?
bylaws placeholder.
No, because that's the bylaw.
Yeah,
That's,
I didn't receive anything from the planning board other than that.
okay, I'll send that.
Okay.
Jim, did you see on the ones that I put in the folder, the two that I put in there for the special, for the 2,000 for the boiler maintenance?
Oh, okay. So we have, there's some new additions for today. The 2,000 for the boiler maintenance to,
Where's this on the spec? Oh,
Yeah, to pay for.
You get Adam.
yeah.
oh, I see.
So we
pay
can
for
see if,
upcoming bills.
we can see if there's any account within the department
Do a transfer.
that maybe we could do a transfer, instead
I
of just
believe there
using
is
free cash.
Legal,
Mhm.
Okay.
we could probably transfer it out of legal. And then the last one is to pay a bill from fiscal year 2022.
Okay.
So what happened with that one?
Never received it until 2 weeks ago.
That seems weird.
They were sending it to some random weird email address.
Okay.
So all of a sudden I get a statement in the mail that has finance charges for every month and everything else. And I called them and asked them for the original invoice. I have not heard back from them. I called them 3 times and emailed them twice.
And that's Civic Plus. That's our
I'm
website.
surprised our website is still up and running. We haven't paid in a year.
And it's so complicated, they haven't figured out how to shut our
Yeah,
own
they can't
website
figure
off.
it out. That's-
So I'm still working, trying to get the original invoice.
Yeah,
or just get anybody to call me back.
So those two articles, because I was just notified of those today, those were not up here in your drafts, so we'll add them into your drafts, moving forward.
Okay. All right. You guys have any questions?
No, I don't think so.
No, sir.
Mm. Well, we can't vote on our articles yet because we haven't put a number in for the school.
And at the last meeting, I know Selectman Ihawker wasn't here, but the board had asked me to send out a memo, which I did, notifying departments, everybody, boards, commissions, that the warrant is gonna close on April 6th. Now, we had warrant articles that were due to my office on the 14th. So departments were submitting them all, and that's what you'll see in your drafts before you, of all the ones that I received. And then the selectmen have decided that they wanna move forward with closing it on the 6th of April.
Okay.
So we'll have one more meeting in between then to go over them. And then we'll have our final with the FinCom on the 1st. And we should add this on there, that our final vote, well, our vote will be on the warrants on there too, for the 1st.
Okay,
Because we have to close out our warrant at that point. Once we decide a number, and we put that number in, then we can close it out, and then that will meet the April 6th deadline.
And when are we meeting with the school committee again? The 5th? The 4th, we're meeting with them on the 4th. And I think, did we have another meeting?
no,
That was it.
Have they given us their final number yet?
The only thing that I've gotten was what was at that last meeting.
Because we told them to give their final number, and they had a meeting. Did you have something, sir?
If I can make a comment now?
Sure.
They did vote their budget in their last meeting this past Monday. It's basically what you've already seen before. That,
So they're maintaining the $1.7 million above minimum?
Actually, for Warren,
Be 1.3.
it's not quite that high,
1.3?
but, yes, I'm sorry. Their proposal is, give me one moment.
April 4th.
I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but yes, they're looking for the approximately 1.3 million above and beyond, above minimum contribution from Warren. And then a corresponding amount, of course, for West Brookfield. I was gonna save the comments for the comment time, but since I'm
What were
gonna
your
just.
comments about, because?
About this particular issue with the school committee vote and the budget and all that. I'm wondering if it wouldn't be prudent, I'll just offer the suggestion that you communicate with West Brookfield Board, Select Board, and so if there's a school committee if there's a budget subcommittee meeting on the 4th, and the warrants need to be in by the 6th, FinCom on the 1st, before you commit to a number, I highly recommend that you coordinate that with West Brookfield and that you're all in agreement with it and make a commitment to one another about it. Because I'll tell you right now, the school is not gonna back down. They are going to give you that number. And I'll make the bold prediction. It's not very bold, it's very simple. They're not gonna budge. They are going to ask for that amount of money. It's gonna go to the floor, So if you say we're gonna give you X dollars above minimum contribution, I guarantee you they will move. There'll be a motion on the town meeting floor for them to get the full above minimum contribution that they're asking for from Warren. That, of course, is gonna be counter amended back to whatever you guys recommend, or perhaps less. And we'll see what the town votes.
Well, I
But
think-
if you don't have West Brookfield on board with you, or you on board with them, and that puts all the pressure on West Brookfield, and the school rallies enough people at West Brookfield to vote in this egregious number, we'll all be stuck with a crazy, insane tax increase. But if West Brookfield doesn't, and then it goes to a district-wide meeting,
To be
We
honest,
can't
I
allow
don't,
that.
I don't see how West Brookfield can afford anything.
I understand that. I understand
Because
that.
they're going for a 2.5 override just to keep their town
I
running.
I totally
Never
understand.
mind supporting the school too.
I'm totally supportive, I totally agree, I totally understand. I think it would just be prudent to make sure everybody's on the same page with real commitments. I know you can't do anything legally about it, but gentlemen's agreement, you get them to commit to it, I think they will, so that there's a united front, and so then the pressure's off.
When we did that last year,
Yeah,
and they said they couldn't go anything above minimum contribution, they could not support that at all, and then they pulled out $300,000 above
partly
minimum
because
last minute.
And I was involved with that number that got settled last year, and if I would have been more informed and more involved, I would have not made the amendment that I did. I would have modified it, and maybe the history would be different, who knows? Anyway, so I don't know if you commit to a number on the 1st, and you're meeting with the budget subcommittee on the 4th, it's just basically a courtesy to let them know what they, if you'll indulge me just a moment, I just have a few notes here I'm gonna read, it won't take more than a minute.
Sure.
At one of the recent budget subcommittee meetings, the superintendent stated that the administration was totally transparent, made a completely bare bones minimum budget. They had to have this number, which was the crazy number that we are all aware of. And then, one of the West Brookfield school committee members said that he could not vote for the current budget that was being proposed, and that the budget should be brought down some to show good faith to the towns. Okay, that's great.
Mhm.
And a prepared revenue and expense summary was produced immediately by the superintendent, showing that they could reduce the number a little bit, just a fraction, actually, tens of thousands of dollars, nothing significant. She also said that because they didn't get their above minimum contribution that they requested last year, that they had to make cuts. And then in the next breath, she stated that due to the shortfall of not having to make these cuts because they didn't get above minimum contribution, that the ESSER money was used. And I didn't ask the question, I didn't feel I had an opportunity to ask the question, were any cuts actually made? It didn't sound like it. It sounded like
Yeah.
they would have had to have made cuts, but they had the ESSER money and so they used it.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of fiduciary irresponsibility should not be allowed. They should be held accountable for it. They should be rejected for their requests this year, is my opinion. They then produced yet a second revenue and expense summary that at least had a little bit of a significance. It was down approximately $250,000 from the original proposals. So they had a bare bones budget that they couldn't, there's no room left. And yet 2 modifications were made available. That shows you, to me, don't tell me this is your bare bones, absolute bare minimum number, and then produce 2 prepared statements showing how you can go lower. To me, that is not, that is deceitful. Furthermore, certain school committee members said that they wanted, let me get my, I wrote it down here, that when they had their next meeting with the towns, that the need for there to be transparency to run both ways between the school committee and the town, the select boards, doing things like reporting what the free cash balances were, et cetera, et cetera. I just sat there stunned. Listen, this is nothing personal. The superintendent seems like a wonderful lady. I have nothing against her personally. She seems great. And that's true for most of the people involved here. I a lot of regard for a lot of the administrative principal, now Superintendent Duff, et cetera, and so on. But if this is the kind of transparency that we're getting from the administration and the select board, I hold them, the administration and the select board are operating hand in glove. This is not, this should not be acceptable.
The school board.
The school board, I'm sorry. The school,
Yeah, not
the school-
us.
Not you, I misspoke, I apologize. They're gonna ask for the full amount. They're gonna have to be told, this is what we're putting on our warrant. Make no apologies about it, whatever that number that you come up with is. I just recommend that it be something that is consistent with what West Brookfield's gonna do, so there truly is a united front, and that's what I have to say about it.
Well, thank you very much for that comment. And, you know, we can link up with West Brookfield, maybe you can
Yeah.
see if they have an idea of what they'll be able to support on there, so we can have an idea for us too, and what we can support. But ultimately, we gotta look at what our town is doing.
Right.
We do realize what we do affects them. If we voted for $1.3 million, they would have to somewhat come up to a match or go to a district meeting,
Right.
you know, to challenge it. But again, we try to work together
There,
and communicate. We've been to their budget meetings last year, and yes, we're working with them, but yeah.
there was a clear implication that they might be able to, that West Brookfield might possibly be able to do, last year's above minimum contribution was $351 and change, and they might possibly be able to go up to $400,000. And I don't know the name of the equivalent of their FinCom, the advisory board, I think they call it.
Yeah.
There was a lady there from their advisory board who was very direct about what West Brookfield was gonna be able, and
Pam?
more importantly, not be able to do. I
Pam?
just don't, okay, you probably know who it is.
Yeah.
I just didn't know her name. And
That's a 15%, well, 14% increase
if they go up to 400,
from 350-ish.
yeah, I don't,
I mean, that's a lot.
it was, the school
I'm
committee,
surprised.
And
The
again,
school
I can't
committee
even see how
pressed-
they're doing that.
the school committee pressed what West Brookfield might be able to do.
Mm.
A number was thrown out that, I think someone suggested, could you possibly do 400? There wasn't a commitment, of course, but there was some talk that they would see what they could do. So it was kind of an implication that they might be able to, but not a penny more than that, for sure.
But she also said it could be as low as 200.
Yeah, there was no commitments to
Yeah.
anything, but it was crystal clear, not a penny more than 400,000, and that was
Yeah,
that was a dream. I'm not saying what they can and can't do.
So, just perspective, it's a 60-40 split, so whatever West Brookfield does, ours is double.
Mhm.
So if they said 400, we'd have to come up with 800.
600.
Well, no, it's a 60-40, so
Yeah.
they're 1/3, we're
If they're
2/3.
doing 4, we're going 6.
Yeah,
And we do 8.
No,
That's
Rich,
double.
it'd be like 7.
That will be double.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's 60-40.
Yeah.
it's 1.5 times now.
Oh, 1.5,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
1.5 times.
So, all right. The other thing, since we were talking about this, is one of the problems we keep on having, we keep on doing this jumping, leapfrogging, back and forth with West Brookfield. Maybe we should change our annual town meeting to match theirs, to allow the school to get all their budget information and have everything, because one of their arguments every time is, we don't have all our data yet, we don't have all our numbers. And that's why West Brookfield moved their date back to what, June?
Yeah.
Their annual town meetings in June, to accommodate the school to come up with their budget and have their final numbers. We keep on playing this back and forth with them, well, we don't have this number, we don't have that yet, this won't be out till after the meeting, and we can't predict that.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And it's like, it doesn't make sense if we're continually doing this, maybe we can do an article to move the annual town meeting to June,
Mhm.
to match the same day as West Brookfield. Yeah,
Or the same week.
or the same week.
We'd have to look at moving elections then too, possibly?
No.
I'd have to look at the bylaw.
That would
Because right
actually-
now, you're elected, and then if it's select board, so you're elected, your first meeting is the annual town. So if they're a
that's
month
in the
apart.
bylaw?
I'd have to
That's
look.
just how it
Yeah, if we
works.
could
Yeah,
research
you've got
that.
the bylaw.
Yep, it is, because remember
don't
we
think it's
tried to do
connected.
Saturday and now it's back? Well,
Well, we tried doing Saturday, but people didn't like it, and they said, well, why can't we just go back? And they put it on the floor and motioned it to go back to the Tuesday night. And it's like, okay, well, we're trying to make it more available for everybody.
Didn't like that.
Well, some people really supported it, and they wanted it, and then they didn't want it.
So the town election is held on the first Tuesday
Right.
in May, and then the town meeting is held on the second, this is old, second Saturday, but I think it would be the second Tuesday,
Right.
is what it is now. Do we have an updated one of these?
I do have an updated one.
But
Tuesday.
it's not locking us in. And this would actually give whoever comes new on the board, say,
Well, that's true, they would have a month
it
to
would
get
give
up to
them
speed.
time to be able to get familiar with what's going on,
Totally
and going
agree.
on with the bylaws,
Yeah.
to be able to understand it. Because, to be honest, we've all been there, when got elected, and all of a sudden our first meeting
It's town
is a
meeting.
town meeting.
Yeah, I was there.
And it's like, okay, I don't know what we're supporting, I don't even know what's in front, because,
Yeah, I think you have a
That
really
makes a
good
lot of
point.
sense.
you know, it
Yeah.
gives you time to get familiar with what's going on.
My
It
first,
just makes
my
sense.
first job was read articles.
Yeah.
You know, this is what you read.
It's,
Huh?
we handed him a bunch of articles, and like, here you go, welcome to the board, this is what you're reading.
Mr. Chairman, at this exact time last year, I made that comment in a selectmen's meeting for that exact reason, because I
Yeah, well, we don't
never
understand you.
understood, no, I've just never understood why they have done that, and historically, because I just feel like it's
Yeah.
putting a brand new member in a really tough
It is.
situation, and I believe that, some added
It
time
is.
would be
And-
beneficial for that member, but.
We talked about where to move it, and we said, okay, well, we could move it to the last Tuesday of the month, well, no, because that's Memorial Day week. And we could do this, we could do that, and so
We gotta go into a new month.
I think so.
So, and this would help the school board and school committee to come up with their final numbers. It would give whoever is elected time to support any articles that are there, or whatever they have at that point. It just makes sense. So, are you guys good with that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, do we know when West Brookfield's is? Anybody?
Is it the beginning, first week of June, isn't it?
So like the second or something, the third, the fourth, something like that, right?
I don't think it's on a weeknight, I thought it was on
Well, should we just say the first Tuesday in May?
June.
June.
Well, the next Tuesday
Oh, sorry,
after
June.
West Brookfield.
Say that again?
The next Tuesday after West Brookfield's.
Well, it doesn't matter if we go after or before,
As long as we're
as
close.
as long as we're in that time and we give the school committee time, and then it gives, you know, we're at least matching up, you know, with West Brookfield, and it gives
Yeah.
everybody time. So if we say the first Tuesday of June, that would give us,
Yeah. Do we need a motion for that?
We can, I'll draft up
Oh.
a thing for Article 26 at the ATM.
Yeah, let's do
Just
that.
add it to the
And
list.
then, yeah, we
Yeah.
just motion on the whole thing.
okay.
Yeah.
One last quick comment.
Yes, sir.
Now that I've been fairly harsh to the school committee, a little more conciliatory comment that dovetails in with what you're speaking of right now. They did belabor the lamenting of how the process from the state and what they're gonna get from the state is just egregious, it's always been that way, and how it's broken, et cetera, et cetera. And I totally agree with that as well, and so I do have some sympathies to them, because it is a very difficult thing for them to sort out. They did acknowledge it's not fair to them, it's not fair to the towns, it's not fair to anyone to have this process that's so cumbersome and broken and difficult to work around to be able to come up with numbers. And so I absolutely see that perspective. Look, from their perspective, they have no incentive not to ask for the moon. Because they can always go down, they just can't go any higher.
Yeah.
And if somehow there's a windfall from the state, or if somehow the towns were able to produce a windfall, why not ask for it? I understand their perspective. I just think, well, I've said enough about it, but they did lament that process. Having town meeting in June instead of May might allow for some of that pressure to have a little bit of resolve, just like West Brookfield pushed theirs out.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at. We're not here to cause,
Yeah.
to be harder, the process
Right.
to be harder. We want the process to be easy and completely transparent. It's just, it's the way we've always done things. It doesn't mean we can't fix them though.
Yeah.
So, and as you can see, we're gonna fix it.
Try.
Oh my God, everybody's putting their hands up. Hold on one second, Joe.
All right.
Hold on one second. Chief.
I just wanted to let the board know, I just got a message from Becky from West Brookfield, she must be watching, she asked me to let the board know that West Brookfield moved their annual town meeting to June 13th.
So that's the second.
Second week.
Second week in
Yeah.
June?
So we can do the first week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
June
We can do the first
thirteenth
or
is a
second.
Tuesday.
Huh?
June 13th is a Tuesday.
June 13th is a Tuesday?
So we could do ours June 6th, which is a Tuesday.
Right, the first Tuesday.
Yeah. I'm good with that. Or we can just do the same day.
And that makes it hard on the school committee to go to both meetings.
Sure. Tuesday, same day.
Same day.
No. Let's keep it the first week. We want the school committee to be there. Yes, Joe.
I have a question. Is minimum contribution to the school a state law?
No.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's a
Just
request.
a request. Financial
Part of
request.
the agreement.
A quick clarification, there is a minimum contribution from the town that's legal mandate.
Mhm.
Above minimum contribution is the discretionary part.
Yeah.
But just to clarify the language there.
What they're looking for is above minimum contribution.
Right.
That's the $1.3 million that they're asking for, above what the town is already providing.
There is a minimum contribution that's mandated.
So, answer your question, sir?
Maybe we should go back to home rule.
Did you have something related to the school?
Yes. I had heard that the West Brookfield School Board had looked into, because so many of the parents, I guess, are picking their kids up, and there's like 4 or 5 kids riding, I don't know if it's anything you can do about it, but they supposedly looked into that, maybe they could cut some money there.
For transportation?
Yeah.
What's your name, sir?
Oh, Tim Barsham.
Yeah, you gotta say your name before.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I forgot. Well, I figured you knew it by now.
No, it's actually media and everybody, it's
Yeah,
very
no, I-
helpful.
I apologize.
No, that's okay, and
Thank you.
Yeah, so that was discussed by the school board, I understand, at some point.
Yeah, that's their decision, they just present the budget to us.
But
We
then
don't
they
have
do-
any interactions as how they come up with their money, or they didn't negotiate transportation or anything. That's the school committee, so
Okay,
that would be their thing to do.
just something I heard.
Well, thank you very much for the input. Okay, so we'll put it on the agenda again
Mhm.
next week. Further discussion, any other articles that we added? And, you know, we'll have our final vote on April first.
No, 6th. What do we, I thought we were.
Because the sixth is when we have to have everything in. But April
Okay.
first is after we meet with FinCom, and we come up with that above minimum contribution number,
Okay,
Then it
and,
has to go to legal, then it has to come back, then it has to be printed.
okay.
so,
But we said the warrant closes April 6th, so we're just gonna vote on our piece of it.
on ours.
Yeah, okay,
So,
all right. But then do we take another vote on the entire thing on the 6th? Or we don't do that, we just,
It's up to the board if they want to go through them, you certainly can.
oh, okay,
Yeah,
all right.
well,
We
we'll
usually
close it,
sign them.
we'll do a vote to close it on the
Mhm,
sixth,
mhm.
but, you know, we'll go through
And
and,
once you close it, then it goes to legal, and then
Yeah.
you can sign it later.
Okay,
so we'll look at it, we'll do our final vote, if we have any questions or anything like that on any of the articles. So we'll do that final one on the sixth, the
Okay.
last review.
all right.
Okay. Great, any other questions about the articles?
No, sir.
Mm-mm.
Good. All right. Budget warrants, review and possible vote on an engagement letter with Rosselli, Clark and Associates for auditing and professional services. Mr. Ferraro, what's that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As I reported to the board a few weeks ago, or probably last month, our current auditor, Jim Justy, is retiring. And so the town is in need of auditing services. And there's a proposal that's been put in front of you from Roselli, Clark and Associates. They're well-known, they do several different communities across the Commonwealth. And they have worked with Jim Justy in the past. And it would appear that it would be a very seamless transition for Roselli and Clark Associates to continue on the path of auditing for the town. So there's a proposal for auditing services and professional services before you. The audit is a little bit more than what Mr. Justy has been charging in the past. Mr. Justy's been about $24,000 for auditing the town's accounts. This auditing service is $32,000 with an additional $8,000 in reserve for professional services that would also help us with some other financial matters in terms of counseling us on some bond implications for the future projects for the town, and other policies and procedures that we should be adopting for best practices for the town. I met with Mr. Roselli in person a few weeks ago when I traveled out there to Woburn. It seems like a very reputable firm. That he's actually one of the instructors at the DOR training that they offer through MMA. So it's a pretty straightforward agreement for 3 years. The accountant had reached out to 2 other firms. Those firms never got back to us with proposals, and for auditing does not fall under 30B.
Do you have any questions?
I do not.
Do you have any questions, sir?
No, audit, it's an audit.
Gotta have your audits.
So if the board's comfortable, if they can sign the letter of engagement, and that would secure us for having our books being audited for the next 3 years.
Okay. The motion?
I will make a motion to engage Rosselli, Clark and Associates for auditing and professional services.
Second,
All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bellis, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. We are, motion passes, and it is unanimous.
Thank you.
Do we have it?
He just needs that seat, right?
Is it just me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it 23rd, right?
Mhm.
All day.
All right. And we're on warrants and bills, sir.
All right, I make a motion to pay the following warrants. Number 86 payroll, $51,774.80. Number 87 vendor, $105,000, $537.41.
Second,
All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bellis, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously.
Make a motion to pay the following bills. Tracy Baptiste for $156. BG Mechanical Services, $826.34. Warren Electrical Contractors, $227.21. Associated Building Wreckers, $585. WB Mason, $199.96. Easy True Value, $26.99. Servview Locksmith, $14.99. And Marlin, $1,107.23.
Second,
Who's the locksmith there for?
When the person moved the filing cabinets out of some of the offices, they pushed the locks in and nobody could find the keys, so
Oh,
they had to
boy.
come out and figure that out.
All right. So, Mr. Lee seconded. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bellis, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously. Okay.
And Tracy is the interpreter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And we have no minutes?
No.
And town administrator report, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board. Before you this evening, as we had already mentioned, there's drafts for you guys to review between now and next week of all the warrant articles that I've gotten from all the departments. For the special, it's broken down onto the special, and it's broken down onto the annual town meeting. And if you look at the dollar figures, as I had mentioned in previous meetings, we currently have approximately $629,000 of certified free cash available. And so at the STM, if you add up all of the articles and taking them from free cash, which I would propose and suggest that the Board of Selectmen do instead of hitting it against the tax rate, you're looking at a total expense of about $100,000, okay, for the STM, for expenses if you add them all up. So you're gonna take $100,000 at the STM from free cash, if those articles were to pass. And at the ATM, if you add up all of the expenses, you're roughly looking at about $51,000. Now, somebody would say, well, it's really like $81,000. But if you take $30,000, which I'm proposing, that we start create a fund, an OPEB fund, other post-employment benefits fund, which is like a trust fund. The town currently has an unfunded liability with the Worcester Regional Retirement Board of about $5 million. Okay, so we need to start establishing a fund to invest as like a savings account to start hacking away at that big number. So I had recommend that we start very modest, because we have some money, $25,000 to make an initial contribution and create the fund. And then also there was a request from the Parks and Rec to establish a capital stabilization fund for them to, pick off some projects that they may want to do in the future for investments within our parks, to updating some of the equipment within the parks and the playscapes in the parks. As we all know, playscapes are very expensive. We've seen some initial figures of just, simple playscapes, upwards of $500,000, $250,000 to do playscapes. They want to start about a $5,000 deposit in there, very modest, to get started, to address some of the issues. So at the ATM, you could say that one could say that you're spending about $81,000. Well, that's really not accurate. You're taking $30,000 of the 81 and really putting into a savings account. So if you combine the STM and the ATM, you're only really spending about $150,000 when you walk out of the building. So if we do that and we stay the course, you're going to be at approximately right at the nice level that the DOR likes to see and the bond ratings like to see of what you have available for free cash in case of an emergency, anywhere between $450,000 to $500,000 based on your budget. We would be exceeding that threshold because on our general fund budget is about $5 million, $6 million, and then if you add the schools in, we're teetering around $11 million. So we're right in that. We're right in where we need to be with the guidance of what the DOR has recommended in the past. So I propose that if you look at these draft articles, majority of them, all of them that are one-time expenses are coming from free cash. Giving the taxpayer a break, not having it raise and appropriate, in trying to address a slight and to moderate increase for the overall budget within, basing it upon, obviously the rise of costs of utilities and so forth. So that's kind of the logic that was behind it. These are drafts. Obviously, we talked about adding another article just tonight, so we can add that on. There's a couple articles that that we're going to have to add for the special that we just found out tonight. So we're going to add those on to that. So this is just a starting point. This is a draft. It's dated for today. There was a withdrawal from today also, so that you have to look at as well on there. So all of that is incorporated in here. I've started, as I mentioned at the last meeting, we have 3 contracts that are up this year. We have the town accountant, we have the police chief, and we have the lieutenant on the police. I've met with each one of those individuals preliminarily, developing what exactly some of their goals, what they're looking to do. We hope to have that into an executive session, hopefully very soon, for you guys to look at and review and hopefully approve. Is there any dates next week that maybe we could squeeze to get that in an executive session so that we can put those numbers, also incorporate those numbers into the budget? Because those are salary numbers.
The only day I could do is Thursday during the afternoon or earlier in the day, sometime before our executive session. But the other thing, because Friday I'll be training
Okay.
for work.
Okay.
I got the range that day, so. Saturday, we have our other meeting
Mhm.
with FinCom, so.
Thursday at 4? Because then we have at 5, then we have at 6.
I mean, if we have everything, lined
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
if we have everything lined up, right? We have everything, pretty much nothing too crazy, and it comes before you, I don't think that there's gonna be, a big, I think we can be able to wrap it all up real quick. If I get everybody here every 15 minutes, and then, just go over the contract and we can, get it done.
Oh, we have time for pizza.
So if you
Well-
want, does 4 o'clock work?
Yeah.
4 o'clock.
Okay.
Let's do an executive session for 4
Okay.
o'clock on
All right.
Thursday.
So this is for salaries, right?
Salaries, yeah, well, yeah,
Contracts.
contract negotiations.
And as was also mentioned in the meeting tonight, we have a FinCom meeting next Wednesday. And like I said, I'm gonna be working with the chief directly to go over a presentation for that. And I think FinCom does have some additional questions on some of the other departments. They had a question on the libraries that they're working on to get some information back from them, and also from parks as well, because they saw some increases in their budgets that they had some questions on. So they're gonna be getting those questions answered within the next week or so. And then one other thing to also consider is, since we are having the STM and the ATM on the 9th this year, what times are you guys thinking about having the STM and the ATM so that we can notify the town clerk and she can notify all of the people? Have you guys thought of a time?
Same times as each year.
Yeah, 6:30 and 7?
6:30 and 7, is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure of that. And then, tomorrow, the building inspector is gonna be here. I had asked her, and I had mentioned to the board last week, that if she could take me through and do a walkthrough, and I think Selectman Valise had asked to go along as well, to the police station, just to identify some of the issues that she had written in her report when I wasn't even on board here with the town in 2021. So she can show me firsthand some of the stuff to see if we can, so I can understand it a little bit better and see if there's any things that we can address, relative to that. So she's gonna be here tomorrow at 9, so I made that, and I think Derek said he wanted to go, so. And that's basically it. Everybody's been working very hard with getting everything ready for STM and the annual town meeting. As mentioned, we did have a staff meeting this past week, and I thanked everybody for all of their help and support throughout my first year here. Actually, it was March 14th, the day of the snowstorm, so I joked with everybody, and I said, you got a day off, celebrating my first year here. It's truly an honor and a privilege to serve, and to work with a great team here in Warren. And we went over some of the minor stuff that we've talked about in meetings: cybersecurity, the importance of staying vigilant in participating in trainings. We talked about reporting workplace accidents is critically important, and to know how to report a workplace accident and fill out the proper forms, and to make sure that it goes all the way up through the organization, and that everybody's notified. We talked about the importance of communicating, and if there's anything that needs to be addressed, any comments, concerns, or suggestions, or criticisms that I could be doing something better, please let me know. I think that it was very well attended. Everybody was here, and we had coffee and donuts, and it was a good meeting.
Excellent.
Very good. Anything else, sir?
No, that's about it.
And congratulations on your first year with us.
Thanks.
Hopefully many more.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Sir,
Do you
I have a
any
comment.
questions? Yes, sir.
My other half, my wife, said one day, "Oh wow, that Jim really works hard."
Mhm.
Thank you.
And you know, just by looking at all that activity, phone calls and everything, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Very good. Do you have anything?
Yeah, it's been a good year. Thank you, Jim.
No, thank you. It's a pleasure working with great people here.
Talking about you guys.
Uh,
All right, thank you very much. So new business. We have new business? Or is that that's correspondence?
Yeah,
You guys have new business?
I do not.
No,
New
sir.
business? New business? Jim?
No, sir.
Old business?
No.
No, sir.
Derek?
No, sir.
Jim? All right. Correspondence. We got a letter from KP Law. And of course, they're letting us know that they're increasing their rates. So I'm writing on behalf of firm's management committee to notify you that the rate change for fiscal year '24 effective July 1, 2023. The hourly rate for the town council service will increase by $10 to $220 an hour. Specialty legal service rates quoted last year for certain time incentive complex issues attached will continue to apply. Paralegal services will be billed on one half, and the complex issues attached will continue to apply. Paralegal, hold on a second. Paralegal services will be billed at one half the quoted attorney's hourly rate. We'll pass through disbursements and other costs incurred by the firm on behalf of the town, and will continue to absorb all costs for in-house copying and postage. And that is from KP Law. So they're going up $10 an hour for their legal services, and what, $5 an hour for their paralegal services, because it's half.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Everything keeps on going up.
Yeah.
Nothing goes down. Well, except for our electric bill,
Yeah.
hopefully. But it doesn't help when everything else has gone up. All right. Did you have any other correspondence?
I did not.
No,
Do you
sir.
think so? No? I'll just remind everybody that the vaccine clinic for rabies, distemper, and parvo, and also getting your dog microchipped, will be on April 1st, 2023, from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, and that will be at the Highway Barn at 87 Brimfield Road in Warren, Mass. And the cost will be $18 for rabies, $18 for distemper and parvo vaccine, and $22 for microchip. And the town clerk will also be there to register your dogs also. So you can get their rabies shot and get them registered the same day, the same
My
location.
kids asked me if the chip hurts.
They don't really feel the chip.
Where does it go?
It goes right in the back between the shoulder blades, and they grab a scruff of fur, and they get that meaty part, and they just slide it right in there real quick, and that's it. It's like a little thing size of a pencil lead, and that's all it is.
Your kids thinking of getting a chip?
You chipping your kids? I don't.
The
There's no price for the kids.
Not the kids, but they love their dog. So they were concerned.
I can get a quote from Tammy if there's kids involved. I don't know. All right. I think some of us would like to have a microchip in some of our kids just so we know where they go. But that's not how that works.
Yeah.
The microchip does not track your dog or your animal, so that's not true. You can't track the animal via the microchip. All the microchip does is identify your animal to a specific number, which is registered, on the website, and the animal control officer can identify who that dog is. So if the collar slips off or falls off, or somebody pulls off the dog's collar, or he just escapes from the house and runs out, we could find who the animal belongs to, so.
You
It's
can
very
get
important to get
a-
chipped.
A pet door that reacts to the chip too.
Oh, can you?
Yeah,
Really?
so when the cat comes in, the raccoon doesn't come in behind it.
Well, where's the raccoon gonna sleep?
Well, they can sleep outside, they're okay.
You gotta chip the raccoon too.
Yeah, right.
All right, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So comments and concerns. Do you have any comments, concerns?
I do not.
Okay. Do you have any comments and concerns?
Not exactly, but maybe Rich, can you help me, if it's possible, to create like a table on Excel, somehow to show what will happen on the tax increase and go down, so we can, add a couple numbers, how much my house is, and what if this is
Yeah.
approved, how much my taxes are right now, how much they go up? I don't know. If it's
Yeah.
possible.
Well,
Maybe,
didn't you
yeah.
do that you did that
Yeah.
last
You
year?
did it?
He has that table.
Yeah,
So,
we
yeah.
can put that together. Once everything's finalized,
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's important for the public to really,
Mhm.
it's not as easy as, oh yeah, from 19 to 22, but how much that really is, impacts your,
Well, everything's being paid through free cash this year, or that's the objective, so it won't affect the tax rate. But if something comes up, say the school budget, and it's
Mhm.
$1.3 million that gets passed, and how much will it go up at
Yeah.
$1.3 million?
Yeah, for example, somebody whose house is in the range of 150, 200, and they pay, a year X amount, what will happen if? And they show
I don't
us.
think there's $150,000 houses in our town anymore.
Just an example.
There's, not according to the new assessors. So, all right. Can you work on
Yes,
that, please?
yep.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
All
And
right.
those will be all just, kind of an estimate, but,
Right.
the estimates, proved to be pretty accurate.
You were almost dead on last year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
But
you
we
pretty
need
much
our
called it
house.
last year when it would go up,
yeah.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, but I think it's important to, let the people know, let's say I'm a parent, I do support the schools, I'll do everything, but it will be nice to know that number,
Yeah.
just a heads up.
Very good, thank you. Do you have any other comments?
No, sir?
Do you now?
I do not.
Okay. Mr. Farrar, any
No.
comments, concerns? Anybody in the public have any comments, concerns?
I'd like to comment on that, if you can make it, hand it out at the annual town meeting so they can see right then and there.
We could actually put a flyer on the table in there, and they could pick up a flyer,
Hmm.
so. And that would be good
A good, nice table.
Sure.
information,
Yeah.
so. Good idea, Joe. Thank you. Who else? Yes, sir.
Yes. Deja vu. I can say it, but I don't know how to spell it. So last week I was here,
Yes, sir.
and there was deja vu.
Mhm.
Today I was at, Tim Barsian, Warren Housing, I'm sorry. And today we're at the board meeting at the housing, and I had deja vu. So I went home and I looked at all my old meetings. And I have to go back to when you first came on board.
Mhm.
I'll keep it under 3 minutes, I swear. The outgoing selectman stated to you, we had an issue with the sewer department. Hefty fines, daily fines, I think if you remember.
Mhm.
And the old select board said to you that they had tried to meet with sewer, not doable. They wished you the best of luck on trying to get a meeting. So I'll keep it brief. Within 2 weeks, you had a meeting.
Mhm.
And the next 3 or 4, I didn't look at those, I just looked at the original one. Within the next 3 or 4 meetings, everything was kind of smoothed out.
Mhm.
And even though they claim that you have no power over the sewer department, this is where the deja vu comes in. We have a board up there that's supposed to represent the tenants, and we can't even have a discussion. Now, I thought last week that maybe you were gonna call, I'm not sure if anybody talked to anybody up there.
Yeah, we were supposed to set up a meeting. Did we get that? Did we talk?
I just got I got a call today from Marian Petruski,
Yes.
so I missed her call, so I'll have to give her a call
We're
back.
trying to set up the meeting to do
Right.
that. We are gonna do that, though.
That's the person I believe that you appointed.
Mhm.
The meeting today was discussed, it's gonna be at least 5, 6, 7 weeks process before they can get someone else. And as I said last time I was here, the place needs someone to run it desperately. And I think I added too, that they add to the economy and everything else. Plus, 11 good paying jobs, or 12 every week up there as well. So the place isn't, it helps out the community quite a bit. But I think it's in a situation where, even though you said, again, that you have no say over that board, I'm wondering if you have any input as far as to the person that you appointed.
Well, we haven't talked with her yet.
Right, but I mean, do you have any input as far as the person that the select board appointed?
Other than giving advice and recommendations.
Yeah.
They're their own board. They're their own thing. We can't tell other boards what to do or how to vote, or committees or anything like that. And
Right.
we really can't do that with housing, because they fall under the state and the
Right.
federal government. They fall under a HUD project, which we don't really have any say.
Right.
We appoint one member, and that
Right.
person is, somebody that steps forward in the community and wants to do it, and that's best suited for them. We always will talk to anybody and talk to any boards and give advice.
Right.
And we were able to help out. You pointed out the sewer department, and yes, we were being fined $70,000 by Mass DEP.
Right.
And because we were out of compliance with the sewer department, and we were able to negotiate and talk them down, and they settled for $7,000.
I remember that, yeah.
So, but they were threatening us with much heftier fines of hundreds of thousands of dollars, if we didn't get things fixed.
Right.
The sewer department's another department that, they have their own people. The residents vote those people in to do that job,
Right.
and all we can do is advise, but we're able to negotiate, because we made it very clear those fines were not the town's fines if they were not in compliance, but the sewer department's fines.
Right.
And we held them to that, and
But I also remember during those few meetings that you had, I believe you even went down there once and came, spoke to the crew there. But after a while, they were happy to work with the present board. And matter of fact, they had issues that you guys ironed out as well. So I'm thinking if you can do it for a department that you have absolutely no say over, we gotta get help up there.
well, that's been our goal, is communicating and,
Right.
trying to help other departments. We're all here as one town to help each other.
Right.
And do the best we can for each other. And, we will talk, with Mary Ann, and once we were able to get a hold of her,
Yeah.
there's some phone tag going back and forth.
That's okay.
We know
Takes
she's
time.
busy, and, but we'll get that meeting set up and we'll talk with her, and, we'll see what we can do.
If you can make it quick, it'd be great, because they already, I hate to use the word pitch through, but, they just spent $5,000, got nowhere. The person quit, now they're spending, today they announced they're gonna spend another $1,500 with another agency.
Oh,
But we don't have the money up there, it takes, we need hot water heaters up there desperately, right? And we could have used that money for that,
yeah.
Anyway, if you can help out, it would be
Well, if you
appreciated.
have the good person in town too, you get the good person representing, like a good town administrator.
Yes.
They find other sources. And hiring the right person is really important, because just
Right.
like Mr. Farrar, he aggressively goes for grants and different things, and, you know, helps out other departments to research grants and get different things, because we can't do everything we've been doing on taxpayer money.
Right.
We have to find another source of doing it. And it's thinking out of the box, it's experience, it's networking, and seeing what other towns are doing, so,
Right.
you know.
Again,
We'll try, we'll
Right,
see
I
if we
said-
can help you out.
The effort from you, this board has been fantastic. But we're talking to, you know, deaf ears up there, and we can't even talk. I mean, that's not, I don't think if you're gonna have, today they actually sent a thing out where they invited the tenants to come in. And I didn't realize it, when I got there, they allowed you to have one question. I mean, what is that? I mean, do you have people here that only have, and it's like the old days, you know? I mean, you can't run a place like that. If you're not gonna have any interest in what the tenants need or, you know, want, then don't even invite them to the meeting, you know? I mean, it's just a waste of time, so. Yeah, anyway, we appreciate it if you guys could do something as, like you did for the sewer and as such.
We'll have a talk and see what we can do, and,
Okay.
you know, I can't make any promises, again, they're truly their own thing, an entity over there.
I understand that, but there's a lot of money that comes out of there, helps a lot of people in this town. And like I said, there's minimum 12 jobs up there that people come in. And the place is losing, you know, it's gonna be losing more people. It's just, none of it makes any sense at this point. We need some, you know, outside help.
Okay. We'll reach out, we'll continue. Anything else? Anybody on Zoom have any comments or concerns?
I don't see anything.
Done.
If I can just point out
You had your chance, sir.
Well, I'm gonna address this,
Go ahead.
the one power we probably have is we appoint somebody every 3 years, right? So that's our power. If that person, if we don't agree with that person who we appointed,
Right.
we don't have to reappoint them, but I think that's it.
No, we
So
we
I'll just-
couldn't wait 3 years, trust me.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, that's our
Yeah.
power. is
The
that
authority we have.
Simple thing.
I understand. Hey, you're allowed one mistake, I guess.
Well,
Let's hope not.
anything else?
No.
Are you all set with your?
Just one other, just a housekeeping thing.
Yes, sir.
I did get notice this week, Whip City Fiber
Okay.
would be able to come to a meeting on the 27th of April.
It's Thursday, right?
Yeah, our regular meeting on Thursday, on the
Okay.
27th of April.
Yeah.
They're available, so they asked to be placed, you know, at the top if possible for the
Absolutely.
agenda. And they'll make a presentation to the board.
Yeah, that's very
Very
exciting.
good, yeah, that's cool. And they're looking at if we can regionalize something too, right?
Right. Yeah, for fiber,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Very good. Anything else?
Nope.
Right, so our next meeting is March 30th, 2023, and that is at 6 PM. And that's actually true for the regular selectmen meeting. But then we also have 2 executive sessions scheduled that day. One at 4 o'clock for contract negotiations, and one at 5 o'clock for ASD solar on that executive session.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have those 2 executive sessions and our regular meeting that day. And then we have a meeting after that for April 1st at 1 o'clock, which is with the FinCom, okay? You're up.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Rich Ihacker, aye.
Derek Bell is aye.
David Dufresne, aye. We are adjourned. Thank you,
Do you
everybody.
think you'll make the FinCom meeting next Wednesday?